This morning marks 1 year since that deadly tornado hit Laguna Heights.
I've never seen anything like this. I've been through hurricanes in Florida that weren't even as bad as this tornado.
Right now at 6, we have full team coverage. We'll be hearing from victims and taking a closer look at recovery efforts 1 year later. Plus, a deadly weekend shooting at the library in Brownsville. Hear from a woman who was there. And KRGV is kicking off a new campaign, the KRGV Cares Closet. The goal to brighten up the day for kids in Valley hospitals. My co-anchor Sandra Rodriguez is live at the Children's Hospital in Edinburg. A live report is on the way later this hour. Well, good Monday morning, Valley. Lots to get to. First Warn 5 meteorologist Cecilia Gutierrez and Channel 5's Brenda Villa are kicking off our team coverage from Laguna Heights. Cecilia is going to be walking us through the damage and how it looks today, a year after that tornado hit. And Brenda is speaking with people who are still recovering. This morning marks exactly 1 year since a deadly tornado tore through Laguna Heights. Now, the video after the twister hit, absolutely devastating. And it's been a long year for many families still on the road to recovery. Our team coverage begins this hour with First Warn 5 meteorologist Cecilia Gutierrez. Now, Cecilia, good morning. So you were there just days after this tornado hit. You're there back a year later. What's it looking like out there? I'm imagining it's a lot to take in this morning.
Trey, just days after this tornado hit, I came out, and the neighborhood that is actually just to my right, that's where the tornado tore through. But what a lot of people don't realize is that it also tore through Texas 100. And there were a lot of down power lines. There were actually parts of Texas 100 that were closed because of those down power lines. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the maps. Now this was anywhere from an EF0 to EF1. We say that because the core of this thing was an EF1, and then the outer part of it was more of an EF0. To give you an idea, EF0, 85-mile-per-hour wind speeds. A hurricane at a Category 1 at 74-mile-per-hour wind speeds. An EF1, the peak wind speeds about 110 miles per hour, and this thing was 200 yards wide. That is the length of 2 football fields put together. So again, to give you an idea, this scale goes anywhere from 0 to 5. So a 5 would be about 200-mile-per-hour wind speeds. At EF1, that is the one highlighted in red for us. That is where we peaked. And as far as tornado-related fatalities, since 1950, this is the first known tornado-related fatality. To give you an idea, there was actually a project a couple of years ago, and it studied how many tornadoes had hit the valley. From 1953 to 2017, there were only 120 tornadoes that had hit the valley. Most of them are in the Cameron and Willacy County area because most of these tornadoes happen within hurricanes. Hurricanes in the outer bands give us that rotation to be able to form those wall clouds, or we have a lot of the times water spouts that head onto land, and that's when they become tornadoes. A supercell like the one that we were tracking that morning, to have a wall cloud, to have a funnel, and then to have that touchdown is extremely rare for us, and typically they're EF0 ratings. So let's go ahead and go through just kind of what happened. It was only on the ground for 2 minutes, from 4:06 a.m. to 4:08, and it did all of that damage. The peak winds anywhere between 85 to 105 miles per hour. The length of this was only on the ground for less than a half mile, 0.43 miles. That is extremely short for a tornado. And then the width, again, 200 yards. So again, only 2 minutes. And for those 2 minutes, it tore through Laguna Heights. And to come back a year later, see all of the rebuilding process. Now there's still a lot to go, but it looks extremely different than what it did. There are spots where there were no houses. There are spots where it was just piles of debris. Now they have rebuilt. Now they are on the path to recovery, and now there are houses, or at least the bones of houses, standing there. So I have full coverage, and I have the science behind this coming up in just a bit.
It's hard to believe it, but I got a picture of him right here. And I'm not gonna forget. That's him right there in the middle.
That was Gene Flores, the cousin of 41-year-old Robert Flores. Robert was killed in that tornado. Now, we talked to Gene just days after it hit. Take a listen.
I couldn't be able to get out, and that's when all the roofs started falling off. The walls started falling off. My brother's yelling, tornado, tornado. It's sad that my cousin left me.
You guys were close?
Very close. Blood cousins. The laughs we used to will enjoy each other.
Now, Gene went on to tell us that his cousin Robert was a great guy and an amazing father.
This Saturday marks 3 years since a tragic mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. 19 young students and 2 teachers died that day.
That's right. Today we're starting our special coverage, Uvalde Remembering the 21. We want to make sure the victims from this tragedy are never forgotten. We're also hearing from survivors of the shooting and seeing what's being done to address gun violence in our state.
And to start off our coverage, we want to walk you through the events that led up to the shooting that day. Now take a look. It started out as any other day towards the end of the 2022 school year. Then at 11:21 a.m., the gunman shot his grandmother at their home. At 11:28 a.m., he crashes a car he stole into a ditch about 100 yards from Robb Elementary School.
At 11:33 a.m., he enters the school through an unlocked door. He walks to classrooms 111 and 112 and opens fire. At 11:36 a.m., the first responding officers enter the school. The gunman is now shooting inside the 2 4th-grade classrooms. At 11:38 a.m., the first request to activate the Uvalde SWAT team is made over the radio. At 11:39 a.m., police start treating the gunman as a barricaded subject rather than an active shooter. From 11:40 a.m. to 12:21 p.m., more officers from multiple law enforcement agencies arrive.
At 12:21 p.m., the gunman fires 4 additional shots inside the classrooms. Officers look for a way to get inside. At 12:48 p.m., officers open the door to room 111. A minute or more goes by before the officers enter the room and engage the shooter. At 12:50 p.m., the gunman is killed by officers.
Good Thursday morning. Thank you for waking up with us. I'm Sandra Rodriguez. We have a lot to get to this morning. Channel 5's Brenda Villa is at the San Juan Basilica, where funeral services are set for Border Patrol agent Christopher Luna. He was one of the 3 people who died in the helicopter crash in Starr County. Plus, my co-anchor Trey Serna is live from Port Isabel. He's keeping a close eye on the possible SpaceX launch from Boca Chica Beach. We'll be checking in with him throughout the morning. Now, the big question about that launch is if the weather is going to hold up. I'm here with First Warn 5 meteorologist Cecilia Gutierrez. And Cecilia, how are things looking right now? Happening today, Valley Border Patrol agent Christopher Luna will be laid to rest. He was one of the 3 people who died in the helicopter crash in Starr County nearly a week ago. His funeral is today at the San Juan Basilica. That's where we find Channel 5's Brenda Villa this morning. Brenda, good morning. The funeral for Agent Luna will cause some traffic delays on the Pharr interchange. It's mainly going to impact people's commute between 1 and 2 p.m. TxDOT will shut down southbound I-69C between Trenton Road and the interchange for the funeral escort. During that time, the expressway will also be closed between Sugar and Raul Longoria roads. Drivers will be rerouted to the frontage during that hour, so give yourself some extra time if you need to travel through there. Our other big story of the morning is the possible SpaceX launch. It could happen in less than an hour. The countdown is on, and dozens of people are waiting at the island to see the next step in the Super Heavy Starship's journey. My co-anchor Trey Serna is one of those that will be getting a great view if the rocket does blast off today. He'll be joining us live from Port Isabel in just a couple of minutes. Continuing coverage this morning on the possible 3rd attempt by SpaceX to test launch their Super Heavy Starship. Take a look. This is what the Boca Chica launch site looks like right now. You can see the countdown clock in the upper left-hand corner of the screen there. SpaceX is hoping to build off the success of their last launch in November. About 30 minutes ago, SpaceX posted on social media that they are now targeting 7:30 a.m. for today's launch. My co-anchor Trey Serna is live at Long Island Village in Port Isabel. Trey, good morning. How's it looking where you are right now?
Good Monday morning, Valley. Summer break is officially over. The last round of Valley school districts are starting their first day of classes today. In Hidalgo County, a good morning and happy first day back for Ed Couch Elsa, La Villa, McAllen, Mercedes, Progreso, Weslaco, and PSJA. In Cameron and Willacy counties, a good morning to all of you waking up with us in Rio Hondo, Santa Maria, Raymondville, and Lyford. We hope all of you have a wonderful first day and a safe and happy school year. And we have team coverage this morning. My co-anchor Sandra Rodriguez has been at Ed Couch Elsa ISD's bus barn all morning, and our reporter Brenda Villa is at McAllen ISD. She's talking to the district in just a few minutes about what parents need to know. But first Warn 5 meteorologist Cecilia Gutierrez tracking that back to school forecast. And Cecilia, we've been saying it all morning long, that heat not going anywhere. And we're live this morning at Ed Couch Elsa ISD. They're one of the nearly dozen school districts starting classes today. Certainly an exciting time for so many students across the valley. And my co-anchor Sandra Rodriguez has been at Ed Couch all morning long. Sandra, good morning. So you've told us what the district is doing with their buses and their routes, but what about school safety as a whole?
Trey, good morning. Well, the school district has implemented and enhanced a lot of different safety measures to keep students safe, students and staff safe this year. Now, we'll get to those changes at the campus in just a bit. But first, we've been here at the district's bus barn all morning, and right now the buses are starting to take off to go ahead and pick up the kiddos for day one of classes. And certainly it's a very exciting day for everyone. Now, as many of us know, safety and security is a top priority for school districts across the country. And this year, Ed Couch Elsa ISD is implementing and enhancing safety measures at their schools. One of the biggest things that people will notice this year is the armed security personnel at each school campus. This is to comply with House Bill 3. The law mandates that public schools in Texas have at least one armed guard at each school. I spoke with the director of safety and security for the district, and he tells me that they did face some obstacles to meet this requirement. The district does not have its own police department, and they could not afford off-duty police officers, so they had to find another solution.
The alternate was for us to identify employees within our school district. So we started with our security officers, and we put them through the Guardian program, which means that now they can carry weapons inside the school. They do not have any police powers, but their main responsibility is to stop a threat, especially a active shooter threat.
Now, Gonzalez tells me that they'll also be working with a company to get additional armed security guards. Now, those are one of the biggest changes that's happening at the actual school campus, but there's also a big change that'll impact drivers in the area. We'll get more into that coming up in our next half hour. For now, back to you, Trey.
We want our students, our staff, and our visitors that come to the school district to be safe.
And school safety is the #1 priority for every school district, and many have made a lot of changes over the past couple of years. Channel 5's Stephanie Rosales has a look at what Brownsville ISD has done to keep students safe. Stephanie.
Good morning, Trey. Brownsville ISD Sergeant Manuel Charles says they wanted to make sure that the district's police force was up to date on the latest training and had the latest devices. Sergeant Charles says the district made it a point to update their active shooter response plan. It's going to be a requirement for every school district in the state, after state lawmakers passed House Bill 3 in the last regular legislative session. We're told this year district police officers will be trained on how to properly use ballistic shields.
Because that's the front lines of defense for children. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're 14 years old, like my son, or, their children going into the K-3 program.
Most of us have gone through SHIELD training, which is very intense, but at the end of the day, it's another tool in our tool belt.
The Brownsville ISD police force added more than 50 ballistic shields at the end of last year. All of these different trainings and specialty devices are meant to make it easy for parents not to worry when they drop their child off at school. So if a worst-case scenario were to happen, the district would have what they need to protect the students. In Brownsville, Stephanie Rosales, Channel 5 News, this morning.
Stephanie, thank you for that. McAllen ISD is also welcoming students back today. McAllen is the second largest district in the valley. And that's where we find Channel 5's Brenda Villa this morning. Brenda, good morning. So what school are you at and how's it looking out there?